All right, welcome back to the 1978 CJ5 build out. Today is bumper time. So this is the stock bumper that came on the beach. Some just U-shaped pre-bent metal. We're gonna go ahead and beef it up. The way we're gonna do that, we went ahead and acquired a UTV roll cage as well as a bush guard off of a Prerunner. We're gonna see if we can cut those up, utilize the pre-bent tubes to make a disco bumper for this. What I mean by disco means it's not going to be seeing heavy action use, since this Jeep's going to be driven around town and maybe a little bit of trail use, not much. So it's not going to need to basically defend rocks, bushes, and stuff like that, just bugs around town. So we're going to go ahead and hack up everything and see how we can utilize those into making a Prerunner style bumper. So yeah, let's head in the garage and see what we got in there. Off camera, I hacked up the UTV roll cage, which you can see right in front of me. Over here, we have some of the pieces that I don't think we're going to use. Next to here, we have the connectors, followed by 3 sets of pre-bent tubes, which I think we're going to use. Each one has a different bend to it, but matching. And then lastly, a smaller diameter tube, which could be the side pieces for the Prerunner style bumper. So we got these 3 sets here to work with. We also have this bumper off of a Prerunner. Not sure if we're gonna go ahead and use any of this. I really like these lens lights protectors that we have here. Maybe I'll throw those on, not sure. Thought about using these uprights, but then it's not gonna be a Prerunner style bumper. This is a cool pre-bent piece here. It's already pre-bent and curved, which is kind of cool. So not sure what we're going to do with all of this, but we're going to start off by seeing what we can do with these 3 sets. We've gone ahead and also purchased a piece of tubing, rectangular tubing, which we're going to head over to the workbench and go from there. Now that we've got everything laid out on the workbench, let's go over it. As you can see, we have our 3 sets of pre-bent tube. We have our existing bumper, our old bumper, and then we have a piece of 4x2 rectangular tubing. On here, I've gone ahead and found the center, as well as indicated where the outside of the frame rails that are on the Jeep are located, and then measured from this point to this point, which is 48 inches. That way we have nice clean cuts on both sides. As you can see, it's a little pre-bent here. Then I went ahead and put some diagonals. You could see what I'm going to be mimicking from this picture of a bumper that I found online. So we're going to try to model it after that. We've got these 2 guys. So what we can do is possibly utilize this guy somewhere here. Grab his matching buddy. So our first mock-up, we have these pre-bent tubes here that I think will work well with the Prerunner style bumper. The only thing I'm not sure about is how wide do we make these? Do we bring them outside of the frame rails or do we bring them inside of the frame rails? I think we'll bring them inside the frame rails. That way we have more distance to possibly put these guys something like that to create that Prerunner style bumper. So let's go ahead and bring these in, see what we get there. Cool. So our next layout is here. We've got the primary structure of the bumper inside the frame rails, which I definitely like. We have 2 angle pitches here that we could play with. Not sure which ones we're gonna use. So as I mentioned, we're going after Prerunner style bumper. So now that we have these smaller tubes, we can now utilize those to basically go from there to there. I'm just gonna put you in there for now so you stay. And then we'll follow this guy. Something like this. So looking at this, I think this is gonna be the game plan that I'm gonna go with. Question is, do I keep this distance here or do I shorten it here to bring this bumper further in? Might take an inch or 2 off, not sure, possibly just an inch. And then we're also gonna have to find a center point of each one to bring these in so they're not so far out. So yeah, I think we've got a solid game plan. Nice thing is we don't have to use the Prerunner bumper. We could probably turn around, sell it, maybe make some cash off it. Worst comes to worst, recycle and get some pennies off of it. So yeah, let's cut some tubes up. So we cut the 3 inches off one end and a 1/4 of an inch off another end. Hopefully it wasn't too much. As they say, measure twice, cut once, but hey, it is what it is. So let's see how it fits. So we've got it mocked up with our current cutoffs. We took 3 inches off each side up the very top and a 1/4 inch off of the bottom that mates with the bumper. So the bottom, I think we're gonna keep where it's at. I like the way and the length that it protrudes out. The top, I think we're gonna have to leave where it's at. I think it's gonna get too narrow and too close to get these pipes on the inside of the frame rails. So they are just a hair outside of the frame rails, which I think can work pretty well. Our next step's gonna be to basically tack these top together. That way we have one solid piece, and then we're gonna go ahead and line it up here and then tack it to this 2x4 down here. Once we have that dialed in there, then we can go ahead and tilt it on the side and then figure out how we're gonna do the supporting side members. So let's get on it. As you can see, we've gone ahead and tacked it up top here. Here at the bottom, it is just a hair outside of the frame rails, which I'm kind of digging. So we're gonna go ahead and tack this in. All right, we've got the bumper right side up. Our next step is gonna be the side tubes. Then I'll go from somewhere up here down to here. So we have 2 choices. We can either use the same thickness material or use these lighter ones. A typical Prerunner style bumper does use smaller tubes for the side pieces, but this being a Jeep, we're gonna see what looks the best. Our 2 choices for the side pieces is either use the same width as the front bumper or to go with a smaller diameter as typically is on a Prerunner. So let's start with the same thickness. Yeah, looks all right. Kind of would match a Jeep style, having the same thickness of bumper all the way around. But now I'm thinking that the smaller diameter tubing is where it's at. It's almost a perfect length. We just gotta level this out and then cut this at an angle and then go ahead and tack it on. So let's get this fitted. So we've gone ahead and measured out exactly where our frame rails are gonna insert into this bumper. And then the frame rails has 2 holes on it, which are gonna bolt this piece into position. That's how we're gonna secure it to the Jeep. So let's go ahead and cut these out right now. First test fitment is on the Jeep. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Good placement, good everything. So our next step is going to be to create these little side ankles here, and then we'll go from there. I cut triangles out of both sides, as you could see. Now we're gonna take this bottom flap that I left remaining, bend it up to match this right here, weld it into place, and we'll have our angles on the side, and then we can finally burn it in. You just watched me burn this bumper in. It's all burnt in. Off camera, I went ahead and painted it with the spray-on Rust-Oleum bed liner. It's bolted to the frame. I kind of like the way it turned out. Little Prerunner bumper on a CJ5 using pre-bent pieces off of a roll cage of a UTV. Yeah, recycle, baby. That's gonna do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time.